Hey everyone, it's been a pretty wild week in tech, right? We've got some really interesting stories to deep dive into today.
Yeah, we've got iPhones maybe not selling as well as people thought, China making some moves in tech. It's a lot.
It really is. So let's start with Apple. Everyone was expecting the iPhone 16 to be huge, but the projections are showing only like 3% growth. That's kind of crazy for a new iPhone, right?
Yeah, that's super low. One of the things the articles talked about was how people are just keeping their phones way longer now than they used to.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Like only 55% of people are planning on upgrading this year. But 2 years ago, it was 64%. That's a huge difference.
Makes you wonder if we've hit, peak smartphone or something. Like, are
Yeah.
people just going to stop needing to upgrade every other year?
Could be. I mean, part of it is that phones are just, well, better now. They last longer, they don't break as easily.
True.
And they're expensive. Holding on to your phone for an extra year or two, that's a lot of money you save.
And it's not just about the phone itself either, right?
Yeah.
This iPhone, the 16, didn't really have any of those like groundbreaking changes.
Definitely. Like, yeah, the camera's a little better, it's a little faster, but nothing that really makes you go, I need that.
Right. And then there's all these rumors about the iPhone 17 already.
Oh, yeah.
And they're talking about big changes, like a totally new design, maybe even some crazy new software features. So do you think maybe people are just waiting to see what's coming next year?
I mean, I would. If I thought the next iPhone was going to be that much better, I'd definitely hold off. It's like, why upgrade now if you're just going to be jealous of the new one in a few months?
Exactly. And it's kind of cool, actually, when you think about it. Like, consumers actually have some power here, right? If enough people say, no, this iPhone isn't good enough, it makes Apple really pay attention.
Oh, for sure. Apple's not the only one feeling the heat either. Over in China, there are some really interesting things happening, and it's impacting, well, everything.
Okay, so let's talk about that. While iPhones might be slowing down a bit, some parts of the Chinese tech scene are booming right now.
Right. And this isn't just some small, contained thing either. It's having ripple effects across the globe.
So what's driving this huge growth in Chinese tech?
It's mostly about the government, actually. They've been pumping a ton of money into the tech sector over there. Stimulus money.
Stimulus, huh? So is that like propping things up artificially, or is it actually working?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's complicated, but the results are definitely real. Like one of the articles mentioned JD.com. Their stock is up 34% this week. That's insane.
34%. Wow. But why should anyone outside of China care about this? Like, why does it matter to us?
Because everything's connected, right?
Yeah.
Especially in tech. When China's tech industry does well, it affects the whole global supply chain.
Okay, so explain that like I'm five. What does the supply chain have to do with China?
So a lot of the stuff that goes into our phones or computers, all that comes from China. The chips, the batteries, the raw materials, you name it.
So if China's producing more tech stuff and their economy is doing better because of it, that helps everyone.
Pretty much. It usually means lower prices for us, and it could even help balance out those slower sales we were talking about with Apple, right? Like one market slows down, another one heats up.
Interesting. So it's kind of a seesaw. It's global. I get it. But this whole thing with the Chinese government and tech, it makes you wonder, right? Is this like a short-term boost, or is this them trying to become the biggest, most powerful tech force in the world?
It's a good question. It could definitely be part of a long-term strategy. I mean, think about it. What if in like 5-10 years, the most popular phones aren't iPhones anymore? What if they're coming from like Xiaomi or Huawei or some company we haven't even heard of yet?
Whoa. That's kind of freaky to think about. And it makes me think about something else we were looking at, Intel. I mean, talk about a company that used to be on top of the world, but now things aren't looking so good.
Yeah, Intel's definitely having a moment, and it's kind of a cautionary tale, isn't it? Like, no matter how big you are, things can change really fast.
I mean, their stock is down, what was it, like 50%?
52%.
52%. That's got to be scary for anyone who remembers when they were like the biggest name in tech.
Yeah, it's a tough time to be Intel, for sure. They've got some serious challenges, especially with all the competition in the AI chip market. That seems to be where everyone's headed. And Intel, they've kind of fallen behind.
Like they missed the boat or something.
Kind of, yeah. And it's not just one thing either. It's like they were so busy being Intel, the giant, that they didn't notice the whole industry was changing around them.
And now you've got these rumors about them getting bought out. I mean, that's wild. ARM, Qualcomm, those are some big names circling, right?
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what that would mean for the whole industry, doesn't it? Like, imagine if one of those companies suddenly had access to all of Intel's technology and resources.
Talk about a power shift.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were in charge of one of these big tech companies, would you take a chance on Intel? I mean, is it a good investment or a lost cause?
Honestly, that's the million-dollar question. There's definitely potential there. They've still got a ton of experience, patents, all that. But there's also a lot of risk. Can they actually turn things around and become the leaders again? It's a tough call.
Yeah, no kidding. So much to think about. It's kind of wild how quickly things can change, right?
Right.
Like iPhones might not be selling like they used to. China's government is shaking things up. And Intel, well, who knows what's going to happen to Intel? It's like you said, the only constant in tech is change.
Exactly. And I think that's what keeps it exciting, you know? Always something new happening, always something to learn.
Totally. So next time you pick up your phone or you're on your laptop, remember, there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
And it's
correct.
way more interesting than you probably realize. Thanks for deep diving into it with us.